Hey guys, Dr. Ben here, Functional Medicine Centers. Let's have a little science lesson today on antibodies. A lot of you guys have heard about antibodies, especially with the coronavirus, with all types of different things. But we also have antibodies that come into the body and get revved up. These antibodies get produced when we are going into an autoimmune reaction. So what is it? Are antibodies good? Are antibodies bad? Well, let's get into what an antibody is and should you have antibodies? Should you not? What type of antibodies do you want? And what you can do if you have the bad type of antibodies going on. So welcome, Functional Medicine, all about getting to the underlying why. Why is the body going haywire? When we think about autoimmune is an antibody-related condition. Antibodies are telling the body to attack its own tissues. So let's get into this and show you what an antibody is. So let's say there's a virus. Anybody know any viruses out there nowadays? So let's say there's a virus going on, and this is what happens when you do an antibody test, is the body is going to recognize a virus and say, wow, we got to take care of that virus. And so it creates antibodies. And antibodies are going to build up in about 1 to 2 weeks for most people. And they're going to tag something for destruction. Good to see you, Cindy, there. Good to see you, Linda, out in Illinois, too. Go and pop down below where you guys are watching from. Love to see you guys. Love to see everybody all the way from North Dakota down to Texas and Maine, all the way up to California, everything in between. Southeast Colorado. Good to see you, Kelly, as well. So antibodies are going to get produced especially when there's a new virus that comes in. So if you get exposed to measles and you never had the measles vaccine and your body gets exposed, hey Lisa, great to see you, hope you're doing well. Then the body's going to create these antibodies. And it's like that movie 12 Strong, where after 9/11 they sent the Navy SEALs into Afghanistan, and they were like on horses and running around the whole country. And they would sit up on the ridges and tell the B-52s where to bomb all the tanks and everything of the Taliban. And so the antibodies are like those Navy SEALs. They've got a laser pointer, or they're calling in and saying, hey, drop that bomb right there. And so they're going to tag that virus for destruction. So what happens then? The natural killer cells, cytotoxic T cells, we've talked a lot about T cells. That's why 40 to 60% of the population will not get this coronavirus, because they have T cells to other coronaviruses that are close enough to this one. So the body is going to tag this, the antibody tags that virus, and then the immune system comes in and destroys that virus. So it has to happen, and then down the road you've got antibodies, and so that's why if you had chickenpox when you were a kid, you won't get chickenpox again, because those antibodies are still floating around, and as soon as that chickenpox virus comes into the body, it revs it up and deals with that, okay? With COVID, the antibodies are expected to last, the half-life is like 75, 76 days. So it's not going to be a long-term thing, just like other coronaviruses, which are colds and flus, other influenza. Those things are seasonal, so the antibodies fade, but T cells can still be there, so it won't be a novel virus. Okay, so this is how antibodies work in a good place, and so we want to attack viruses, bacteria, things like that, and the antibodies are going to target those things. What happens when we get antibodies in a bad place? So let's say this is a bone, not the best bone, but let's say it's the end, and here's the joint on that bone. The antibodies are going to tag the end of this joint, and the immune system cells are going to come in and start destroying that joint. So that's like rheumatoid arthritis, when the little old lady, the fingers start bending and they start getting inflammation in their joints all over the place. So we can get different types of autoimmune conditions. There's over 190 named autoimmune conditions. When you lump them all together, it's the third leading cause of death in this country. Alexandra, great to see you there. Thanks for the feedback. 190 named autoimmune conditions, third leading cause of death when you lump them all together. MS and lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and alopecia and ITP and all types of different autoimmune conditions where the body, the antibodies, are tagging self for destruction. So in MS, you're tagging the myelin sheath, which runs along the nerve. That's what my mom had when she had her MS. Thank God she's healed from that. Her body was able to heal her MS. 77. I just talked to them this morning. They're doing granny boot camp, getting out their bands and exercising. Her and my dad doing lots of great stuff, strengthening from from kind of being locked down for a while, but really getting back at it. So it can come out a lot of different ways. But why do we say it's the third leading cause of death? These 190 named autoimmune conditions. Why is it the leading cause of death? And here's why. When somebody has an autoimmune condition, it doesn't really matter what it's named, what it's called, anything like that. I've got many patients that they have antibodies show up in their body, but the doctor doesn't know what type of autoimmune it is yet. They're going to wait and see what is damaged, what tissue gets damaged, and then we'll move on from there. So autoimmune, we know that in over half the people that have one autoimmune condition, they have multiple. So what does that mean? Well, we've got different things that are going to drive that. So adrenals. So has anyone ever heard of stress? Anybody ever heard of stress, right? Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of stress. So the adrenal glands, a lot of times stressful events are going to drive this autoimmune reaction. Blood sugar swings. We talk about blood sugar all the time. That's why we have every single one of our patients check their blood sugar. There's some thumbs coming in. I gave it up for New Year's, so I don't know if anybody else gave stress up for New Year's, but if you haven't, you should try it. It's very liberating. Vitamin D. If somebody has autoimmune condition, their vitamin D needs to be at 80, not just the normal 60 to 80, but all the way up at 80. It can be leaky gut. Leaky gut is where that small intestine lining, we've got a bunch of videos on this, small intestine lining is irritated and not able to block things out of that bloodstream, getting into the bloodstream. Estrogenic events. So if any of you women on here have Hashimoto's, a lot of them were going to be stimulated after having a baby. And that estrogenic event, last year we found 3 teenage girls with Hashimoto's, autoimmune thyroid, and that was puberty that drove that one. So estrogenic events can absolutely drive that autoimmunity as well. Different types of infections. So it could be getting stung by a West Nile mosquito. It could be any type of virus. I've seen a lot of patients that come in and they've got random virus that stimulated autoimmunity in their body. So any type of infection can drive that. Environmental. I've seen people move into moldy houses, and that mold is going to stimulate the immune system to start attacking its own tissue. Heavy metals, things like that can drive it as well. Everybody's favorite, right? Gluten is, and other food allergens, but especially gluten, are going to be some of the main things that are going to drive this autoimmunity. I could keep drawing circles off of here all day long, and there's lots and lots of things that can drive autoimmunity. But ultimately, we've got to fix the why, and this is how your body can heal. If you've got any type of autoimmunity, your body can heal this if given the right tools and if the proper things are removed and the proper things are added in. So antibodies are great. Antibodies are going to rev up. They're going to target different viruses, bacteria, parasites, different things for destruction. The body's going to attack those, and great, we move on. But what is bad with antibodies is when it starts recognizing self as non-self, and that is autoimmunity. So we need this properly balanced immune system. It needs to rev up at the right time, and it needs to calm down at the right time. If it's all one or the other, we will have a lot of imbalances, a lot of problems. So hopefully you are doing great. Hey Linda, does your family eat gluten-free products? Yes, my wife's been off gluten since like literally 1997, back when nobody even knew what it was. So yes, we're gluten-free in our household. So You've got to stabilize that immune system. If you've got autoimmunity or know anybody with autoimmunity, you've got to start and just check off this list. Anything that they have out of balance, you got to go through system by system by system and protect that body from any further damage. And it is reversible. Your body can heal. We've seen MS, lupus, RA, lots of different types of autoimmune conditions. People's bodies been able to heal those. So keep up the good fight. Keep your body strong, but not so strong that it attacks itself. So great to see you. If you got any questions, pop those down below, and you guys make it a great day.